Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today TV. This is Market Today. I'm Sakshi Batra and with me is Shail Bhatnagar, editor for Markets on Business Today TV. Well, the Nifty gained the most in nearly a week yesterday after 3 days of consolidation. All eyes are how will the US federal rate hike and the commentary of Jerome Powell, also the buzzing earnings season, really impact the series F&O expiry today. We'll tell you all, but first up the top headlines this morning. The US Federal Reserve raises interest rates by an expected 25 basis points, making borrowing costs the most expensive in 22 years. Broader indices rise on Wall Street even as techs bleed. The fight to tame inflation is far from over, says US Federal Chair. And July's fabulous expiry will draw to a close today as on the Lal Street as Nifty resumes its upward journey after a two-day pause. Bulls are now prancing reclaim previous highs as strong blue chips earnings lift sentiment. Very good morning to you, Shail. Well, seems like the Nifty 50 is all set to gain for 4 consecutive F&O series. What are you watching out for today?
Good morning, Sakshi, and hello to everyone who's watching us on Business Today television. Welcome to this monthly expiry day. We are on 27th of July, the last trading session of what has been a fantastic, fabulous and magnificent expiry. 5.7% on the Nifty and 5.4% on the Bank Nifty. And Sakshi, there are no signs that this will abate. So it's upwards and onwards. I'm wearing a green tie, giving all the indications to the bulls that they can now resume their upward climb. All sentiment and everything looks on the positive side. 25 basis points was baked in. It's there from the US Federal Chair. The last time we saw 5.25% as borrowing costs, it was the dot-com boom that was happening in March 2001. We are now in July of 2023. So it's okay. Life comes to a full circle, and that is what markets are all about. So as far as domestic markets are concerned, I believe today will be the day when we'll see the last of the bears being killed on the Lal Street. It's upwards and onwards, I repeat again, and a nice traction is coming back into the market. We are going to react to very good earnings from Cipla, even Axis and Dr. Reddy's. Apart from that, the consolidative phase on both indices is now over. The 8 EMA has held and we are looking for better days. Options data on both indices point to higher trajectory, especially on the Nifty. So the psychological barrier of 20,000 is the first resistance, and if you are a bit aggressive, maybe you'll see 2250 fairly soon, Sakshi.
Absolutely. And on the Nifty Bank, Shail, the index is back above the mark of 46,000 that we were talking about yesterday, having snapped the 3-day losing streak. Now, for the July series so far, Nifty Bank is already up about 1,700 points. What are you watching out on the Nifty Bank today?
Absolutely. So from the base of June 26th, when this rally got sparked, we've added something like 2,900 points on the Bank Nifty, Sakshi, and given back some 500 points, which is fine. So at the moment at 46,000 odd on the Bank Nifty, Sakshi, it's out of its consolidative phase. If you see the daily chart of Bank Nifty, you'll see 3-4 days of sideways rally. The 5 and 8 EMA have held, and from now on I would presume that all the good things that happened to which the market was not reacting, you know, ICICI Bank results, Kotak Bank results, and now Axis results, they will now start coming back into the picture. So what the market does is that in times when it has to consolidate, it stores all the good points, right?
Yeah.
And then when the rally's time has come, it starts to reflect all those good points. So the PSU banking rally is already there. Now the private banks will join the party, and I would presume that you'll see a nice uptick that's likely to come on the bank nifty as well. So 2900 points from June 26th to 46,400, which was a record high, and then we've corrected to 45,600 in 10 days. That's roughly about say 700, 800 points. Believe me, the intraday move on average of bank nifty is 700 points. So once it decides to move, then the elephant dances. Sakshi.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, the F&O space will be clearly buzzing today. What should one keep an eye out on here, and what does the status of rollovers really tell us today?
So Sakshi, you remember we've discussed this very often, that the broad market rally is absolutely in shape. There has been no change in sentiment when it comes to record highs. There has been no problem when it comes to value being exploited and taken up, as was in the case of PSU stocks in the railway stocks. So F&O is buzzing. And I would imagine these 2 or 3 stocks that I have been tracking for so long should do well. Remember, this is all technical and chartish data that I'm talking about. And should you take a position, please do consult a financial advisor. So these stocks, Chambal Fertilizers, you're seeing a very beautiful swing trade coming back into this particular stock. It's out of a consolidative phase. And what's really interesting is that the open interest on Chambal Fertilizers is up about 7-8%. So the rollovers here are strong, and the beauty is that in the fertilizer space, this is one of the leading high beta counters. I normally only look at stocks that are high beta and are trying to do a fantastic job. So the delivery percentage is about 3.8x higher. Rollovers are fairly okay. It's a good short covering that's happening on Chambal Fertilizers, and one would imagine that a drop in open interest along with a rise in price, rise in volume, rise in delivery means only one thing, an upward trajectory. So at 276, this one looks super bullish to me. The other stock, of course, is the market favorite, Apollo Tires. Again, short covering happening here. The chart structure is fairly good. We've seen open interest decline by about 6.3%. Delivery statistics are 1.5x higher, and the chart looks juicy enough for a nice bounce after a decent retracement. So Apollo Tires, Chambal Fertilizers, and how can we forget tractor maker Escorts? Remember, once the rains are over and rural incomes again show an uptrend, the 2 biggest beneficiaries are tractor makers and bike makers. So Escorts already at record high, and at about 2434. Very, very nice build up in open interest, about 10%. This is good for a stock which has a 4-digit price tag on it. So these are the 3 stocks that I'm looking on the long side. Sakshi.
All right, now let's look at the global handover that we've got that may shape the indices move today. So the benchmark indices in the US had a mixed session after the US Fed approved the 25 basis points rate hike, taking the interest rates to their highest levels in 22 years. The Dow Jones managed to eke out gains for the 13th day in a row, and this is the best winning streak since January of 1987, so a 36-year record right there. On the other hand, we did see the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq ending just below the flat line in yesterday's trading session. Stocks in the Asia and the Pacific markets looked like positive in the morning trading session. The GIFT Nifty also indicates to a positive start. As far as the flows are also concerned, the FIIs have bought shares worth about 922 odd crore rupees, while the domestic institutional investors also purchased shares worth about 870 odd crore rupees in yesterday's trading session as well. So Shail, of course, the 25 basis point rate hike, you were already talking about it, that's baked in. Fed chair has left the room open for some more rate hikes if the data talks about it as well, although some indication of a pause coming in the September policy. So your thoughts on how is that likely to shape up the Indian markets and the FII flows as well now that the US market has again seen rate hike happening?
So, Sakshi, we are on our own, and our own triggers are fairly good enough for us to climb above 20,000 on the Nifty. These were all things that everybody knows, but waits for the event to happen so that we can say कि भाई ठीक है हो गया इसको अब साइड रखो अपने ऊपर चलने की बारी थी अब वहाँ चलते हैं. So 25 basis point I told you 2 weeks ago, it's baked in, it's there. Now, whatever the Fed might say, the inflation battle is they are not winning it, right? You have 5.25% as the borrowing cost, and these are likely to remain elevated for a couple of quarters at least. You might not see a rate hike, but the fight for inflation is far from over. This will remain the way it is. We are running on a different, how should I say, connotation or a drug that we have inbuilt. Very, very strong FII flows, better FDI flows, higher GST numbers, very good monsoon, good spending power, and of course, the monthly SIP. Next year, same time, Sakshi, will be at 20,000 crores per month. Remember, this is what is driving the markets, and every dip, as you will see, the 5 and the 8 EMA held on the Nifty and the Bank Nifty, every dip in the market so far remains a buying opportunity in this wonderful session. You'll see how markets react to good quality earnings from players like Cipla, Dr. Reddy's, even Axis Bank. So corporate banking sector will rise. ICICI Bank has a very strong chart. All these things are ticking very well, and I would imagine that sentiment and prices will reflect the underlying strength of the Indian economy. We've just had a bump up in IMF's estimation of GDP growth. So all that put together paints a fairly bullish landscape on India. Of course, there'll be corrections, but those corrections are meant to be purchased on the quality part of the market. Sakshi.
Absolutely, Shell. So, a fair point right there, and noting all of those points, very, very important for all the viewers and investors right there. Lots of important stocks also to track today. So, first, the markets will be reacting to the key earnings that came after market hours yesterday. My colleague Akansha Chaturvedi now joins in with the key highlights of the earnings that we saw on Axis Bank and on Tech Mahindra. Take it away, Akansha.
Good morning, Shail. Good morning, Sakshi. So let's start with Axis Bank first. The bank reported stellar numbers. The profit in the net profit rose around 40%. The core income is the reason behind this. The core income or the net interest income grew at around 27% for the bank. Other incomes also improved. They were up around 74% from the year ago quarter. And if we look a bit closely at the numbers, we'll realize that it's also worth noting that the domestic net interest margin dipped around 15 basis points, and the overall NIM also fell around 12 basis points if we compare it to the previous quarter. The drop in NIM was largely owing to repricing of deposits at the bank, and the share closed in green yesterday in anticipation of the results, and since the results came after the market hours. And it would be interesting to see how the company's stock is going to react to today's market session after the stellar set of numbers that they've posted. And Sakshi, like since you said, we also have Tech Mahindra, and Tech Mahindra posted really disappointing numbers if we speak about it. The company's profit declined at around 39%. The revenue also went down. The EBITDA also went down around 30% from the past year, from the year ago quarter. New deal wins were down almost 50%. We talk about sectorally, deals from CME sector, BFSI sector, all of them saw a decline. You could say that this is one of the most disappointing set of results that has been posted in the IT space in the current result cycle. And you know what's interesting here, Sakshi? The fact that This is one of the last quarters of the outgoing CEO, Mr. CP Gurnani. He's going to be replaced by someone who's been coming from Infosys, Mr. Mohit Joshi, and it's going to be interesting for investors as well as for other stakeholders that how the new CEO is going to handle this situation. And if we look at the charts of all other IT companies, say from the past 3 months, we'll realize that Tech Mahindra has not performed as well as its peers, TCS, Infosys, Wipro. But going to be interesting to see how it's going to handle the situation under the new management. Back to you, Sakshi.
All right, thanks a lot there, Akansha, for all those updates on Axis Bank and on Tech Mahindra, and we will take the expert views on both of these companies as also on the future earnings that will be coming on in today's trading session. But Shail, I wanted to understand from you the IT pack. We've been discussing about this all through and through. For the big four companies, we did talk about how the worst may be now priced in and things are looking up from here on. What about Tech Mahindra?
Sakshi, tech is weak. Let's accept it. The top underperforming index yesterday in the US markets was the tech space, and within the Dow, the biggest loser was Microsoft. Elevated borrowing costs are not good news for tech companies because they borrow very, very heavily to buy out rivals, to buy out new technologies, and at 5.25%, the growth fuel, which is lower cost funds, that's not coming to the tech space, and therefore I would imagine that techs locally as well as techs globally would be weak. Sakshi.
Absolutely. Okay, let's wait for some more earnings to come in right now. But of course, a whole host of stocks that you should track in today's trading action. Reliance Industries will be in focus. For example, we have Geo Financial Services that will now form a 50-50 JV with BlackRock called Geo BlackRock. So that's going to be important to watch out for. M&M, again, acquisition coming in of 3.5% stake on RBL. These are the stocks that you would be watching out for. Two key stocks that we have to immediately check on as soon as the pre-market open hits. But talking more about earnings, let's also go across to my colleague Pawan Nahar now. He has the expectations that we can have from Nestle's earnings this time around. Pawan.
Good morning, Sakshi. Good morning, Shail. So, FMCG major Nestle is going to announce its earning today, and analysts are expecting a strong bio-wine performance, but sequentially numbers can be subdued. So, however, some analysts are still expecting Nestle to be the report best performance from the FMCG pack. So, revenue is likely to rise after price hike and the better rural distribution, and EBITDA margins are also likely to expand after cool down palm oil prices and price hikes and operating leverages by the company. So coming to the numbers, uh, Nestle is likely to report a net profit of 700 crores to 710 crores, up 33 to 38% on a YOY basis. And revenue is likely to be in the range of 4,600 crores to 4,800 crores, which is likely to be a healthy gain of around 15 to 18%. EBITDA is likely to come in around 1,050 crores to 1,100 crores, which is again up by 25 to 30% on a year-on-year comparison. While EBITDA margins are likely to be in the range of 23%, which is expansion of around 260 basis points. Over to you, Sakshi.
All right. Thanks a lot, Pawan, for all that update as well. We will check with our guests also on the update on all of these numbers. What do they feel and the trading strategies that they'd recommend. Apart from Nestle, the focus will also be on Marico from the FMCG basket today and on Tata Consumer Products as well. Whereas Marico is going to be acquiring 58% stake in Satia Nutraceuticals for 369 crore rupees. So corporate action there. The stock had slipped 1.4% in yesterday's trading action. But apart from this, Tata Consumer Products, of course, its India revenues at 15.5% definitely beat expectations. However, the international revenue right there, that came in below expectations, just with a 7% growth. The other parameters largely were in line with expectations. Starbucks revenue, however, for the quarter was up by 21% year on year. So Shail, clearly, your visits to Starbucks has helped Tata Consumer to that extent. But how do you see Tata Consumer Products and the other FMCG majors?
So, Sakshi, I'll be very honest. I really, really like Starbucks, and I spend a lot of time in their cafes just trying to find out how much is the per customer billing that's happening. And there is physical expansion of stores, there is higher per spending customer, as also the same store sales are higher. So Tata Consumer is a multi-bagger. It should be a part of your long term portfolio. Starbucks is here to stay, and there is an aspirational move in the broader Indian economy. Tata Consumer's products are right there in the center of that wonderful you know event that's happening over the next 5, 7, 10 years. But let's not waste time. We have Mr. Vineet Bolinchkar, Head of Research at Ventura Securities, joining us. Vineet, welcome to the show. What are the 2 or 3 stocks that you think are likely to outperform in today's bullish trade, which is also the last day of the monthly expiry? Vineet, good morning.
So Shail, just one caveat is that I am not a crystal ball gazer because I cannot tell you what will stocks do today, which ones will do better. But I think Nestle and Colgate have, sounded the resumption of the bull trend in the consumer's pack. So I believe that these 2 stocks, along with Jyoti Laboratory, should do very well. But my 2 picks, which I think look very interesting, are BHEL. I believe that the counter, which has been out of favor for a very, very long time, almost more than a decade, is now coming into its own. So, if you see their order book is about 5x their, the annual turnover. They're diverse. The next 2 years are going to be very, very strong from thermal deliveries for coal projects. And their long-term plan is to, decrease the thermal contribution to about 50%. They're expanding into railways, defense, electronics, solar. So, it's a very, very, very strong order book. Margins are going to be better this year, and I believe that the stock is coming out of a slumber after a very, very long time. 2008, the stock had hit around $40, and today it's just 100. So it's really been a laggard, and I think that trend is turning around. So this is one stock which I think has got low risk, and the other stock which I like is, again, it's a little offbeat item. It is called Dredging Corp. The company has done 1100 crores revenue last year. This year we think that they could do 15 to 20% higher. But the most important thing is that the margins, which were until 2019 at around 25% and had dipped to 15%, we expect them to climb back up again. So, in my opinion, this stock is available at 4 times EV by EBITDA. This year itself. It's a 7 on a trailing, but I think for this year it's a 4 times EV by EBITDA. And if you just see the things that margin expansion, slight revenue growth, and your bottom line would expand very sharply. And this stock has not been giving dividends since FY19, since the time COVID onslaught. So I think it could come back to the dividend repayment trajectory, and the stock can move up to around 500 levels.
Okay, let's just discuss these 2 stocks detail. Coming back to BHEL, all said and taken, Vineet, a fabulous price discovery that's happening in the entire PSU space, and of course BHEL being at the forefront. A lot of good things are happening. The price point at 98 is still affordable for a lot of traders, whether on the FNO side or as also on of course the cash part. And what's interesting, Vineet, is that the delivery statistics for yesterday, as also the rollover cost and the rollovers are pretty strong. So you say 140, that is likely to come, say, in the medium term. Is there a stop loss that you would want to place, just in case there is a broad market sell-off, and these sell-offs do happen. What would be a level where you would say that let's rework the charts, let's rework the finances?
I'm of the opinion that this trend is very much in the orders that they've received. So I'm not seeing that the performance will deteriorate too much. And considering the fact that the runway is very, very strong, I believe that a level of say 85 would be a very reasonable level to uh, hold on to the stock, and below which you can say that the trend has kind of uh, you know not playing out as we expected.
Okay, now let's analyze Dredging Corp. Just 1,000 crores worth of market capitalization, and you very rightly mentioned, Vineet, this is an underdiscovered asset. At this point of time, the revenue is about 1164 crores trailing 12 months, and this is a profit-making company with nice amount of cash on the balance sheet. One of those undiscovered assets that the PSU basket has so far. And remember, it's somewhat related peers, which are the shipyards and the defense establishment. All that has shot up very, very sharply. The all-time high of Dredging Corporation is 919 rupees. At the moment on the monthly charts, showing at 361, well below its major resistances, which is the 200-day monthly average. But yes, fantastic chart, 361. Both are underpriced over the long term. Of course, BHEL has been discovered very well by the market in the recent rally, but dredging, of course, remains to be seen. The most recent low that we saw was 277, and at the moment at 361. Sakshi.
Absolutely. Vineet, in the same breath, since PSU stocks is what we've been discussing, and these are the stocks that have been buzzing off late, many of them at 52-week high levels as well. What do you also have a view on, say, Housing and Urban Development Corporation and on NHPC? Both of them have had a substantial run-up in the recent past as well, and both of them are attractively priced too.
So NHPC definitely, I think, has long legs to go. Multi-year bull market it is in, and given the fact that it is in the essential space of renewables and sustainable energy, I believe that this stock is uh, at best at most pessimistically a half price of what it should be going over the next 3 to 4 years. Uh, so we like this stock, but you have to hold on to these stocks for steady gains. They don't reverberate too much or oscillate too much. So these will be steady stocks which will give you good returns over the long run.
Okay. Apart from this, Vineet, of course, all eyes will also be on, say, RIL today. Of course, amid the Geofinancial Services news forming a 50-50 joint venture with BlackRock, the biggest asset manager in the world, now coming to India again. Your thoughts on how should one look at this news and trade on RIL after this?
So it's early days, but Reliance does things all in cavalier fashion. So they will do the largest deal, or they will tie up with the strongest player in the segment. And definitely, BlackRock has got, it is one of the largest asset managing company in the world. So this partnership will create a behemoth, and this will be a force to reckon with in the coming days.
Okay. Shell, anything else that
Okay.
you'd like to add?
Let's focus our energies. Yes, let's focus our energies on the frontline counters. Vineet, what catches your attention? Access to react to its earnings today, and ICICI Bank looks strong too. Any views on both of these?
So I think Axis can come into its own. There has been doubts about the performance, how it will perform. There have been many naysayers and uh, you know doubters about the ability to turn around. But I think given the result that has come, there is you can tick all the boxes. There is nothing that stands out as being negative, and I believe that this counter can start getting re-rated as we go ahead.
Yes, that's true. We've seen a lot of active interest coming back into corporate lenders, and given the capex cycle that we are seeing unfolding in the broader economy, corporate lenders such as Axis, ICICI, and State Bank of India are likely to outperform retail lenders. But that's a matter of time, and that will only happen when it happens. But those are hopes that are fairly baked in into the prices. We'll wait for the pre-opening tick. Remember, a lot of interesting data is going to get reflected in the markets, and let's look at the Nifty 50. HDFC Bank opening flat at 1694. Tata Motors resumes its upward journey, fresh record high 653.95, up 2%. I'm seeing a 1.7% uptick in LNT 2686. The first ticks coming on the Nifty, and it's a down tick, down 24 points, 19,750. Let's see how the market reacts to it. My presumption is that it will be purchased into. Bajaj Finance 3% higher, 7650. Infosys mildly in the green, 1351. State Bank of India flat. Kotak Bank down 1.7%, 1863. I want to see what Reliance is doing. Okay, so this is the reason why the Nifty is down. 1.6% lower downtick on Reliance Industries, 2490. This is what I see. Let's look at the broader F&O space. Let's see what's ticking there. Let's see. Colgate Palmolive, fantastic earnings, 5% higher, 1956. Price gets corrected, 3.5% higher. Traction in RBL continues. Remember, this is a high beta space. This is also the top performing bank for the banking space in F&O, 5% higher, 252 in this July expiry. Cipla, very, very strong earnings, 10% uptick, 1175. They've given a higher guidance for their US business, and the margin also has improved. So this is one stock that one needs to look at. And of course, we have Tata Consumers, 1.7% higher, 890. Broader markets, Godfrey Phillips, 20% circuit. We'll take a look at it a little later. We've seen JK Cement up, Bajaj Finance up. This is what I'm watching. Nifty is now settling towards the green side, now down just 12. Sakshi, what have you seen?
Well, the dollar rupee, one needs to keep a check on 81.9 currently for the rupee at this point in time, slightly higher from yesterday's trading action. Apart from this, in the stocks, one needs to watch Tech Mahindra, that's down in trade after the earnings. Apart from this, let's also look at what M&M and both RBL Bank are doing. So M&M is down in trade, but it's RBL Bank that is showing sharp traction in the early morning action. Of course, M&M acquiring 3.5% stake in RBL Bank and also indicating a buying up to 9.9% stake. So that has led to RBL Bank showing a sharp move in the pre-opening action in trade today. We'll also focus on RVNL. Of course, the government will be selling 5.3% stake through offer for sale. So that stock clearly in focus right now. The stocks are not reflecting on the screen, but we will keep an eye out on this. Apart from Cipla, let's also keep an eye out on Dr. Reddy's from the pharma space. It registered an 18% year-on-year increase in consolidated profit at 1,400 crore rupees. The revenue also grew by 29% or so. Shail, anything else that you've spotted?
Well, Sakshi, Nifty is back in the green and 10 points higher, 19,785. We're just waiting for Anu Jain to get mic'd up. And at that point of time, we'll throw her the most important questions that keep on bothering us on a daily basis. But a very strong uptick on Cipla, 6.5% higher, 1138. Sun Pharma is sticking in the green, 1.5% higher. And I would imagine that Dr. Reddy's is also trading higher. We're just about to tune into Miss Anu Jain. She's the president at Equity Advisory for 361 Wealth. which you earlier knew as IIFL Wealth. Over the past 2 decades, Anu has tracked the various parts of markets with great diligence, and she has a very, very strong command on both the chart part and the fundamental part of the market. Of course, 361 Wealth is the largest wealth manager in India, and it's done a stellar job as far as managing wealthy people's money is concerned. Anu, it's a pleasure to host you. A wonderful rally unfolding on Dalal Street, fresh record highs on a regular basis. Your clients must be very happy with the amount of money that you've made for them. How do you feel, and what's the way forward?
Hi, thank you, Shail. Thank you, both of you. Basically, I think yes, uh, nobody was expecting a rally which would be so sharp and so soon. Uh, there is a lot of clients who are sitting on the side even now, so that FOMO feeling continues or persists. There are people who said that, okay, we'll go in as SIPs, or there are people who said the market is too expensive. So there's still money waiting on the side. So, the fact that whenever there is money waiting on the side, the rally is never saturated as per me. So you may still get corrections. You may get corrections of about 4 to 5% any time because you've moved up sharply. But the fact remains that I think this rally has legs for at least, if I want to say time wise, maybe 5 to 6 months before any major correction comes. If I'm talking about percentages, then well, 20,000 is definitely a mental block. But I think what we saw yesterday of the US, and I think probably they're going to digest it in a day or so. And though you may go sideways for some time, but I think you're definitely poised towards 21,000.
Wonderful. With that fairly bullish kind of a estimate on the Nifty in a real short time, Anu, let's get down to brass tacks. Let's talk about stocks. Tell me, what is on your radar? What looks good to you? The PSU space is just exploding with unrealized value. Where do you find good charts? Where do you find good sentiment?
So we've been positive both on the PSU banks as well as the PSU enterprises. So our internal team has been positive earlier on NTPC very strongly. Now we're finding Gale that, probably Gale can give you that kind of move which was given by NTPC. So you can basically look at Gale. Gale is basically at the upper end of the consolidation zone. It basically moves between 102 to 112. It's moved out that. So it's at 116. I think 122, 125 is what's going to happen. I think one can keep a stop loss of 112, which is about 3 to 4% from here. If you're looking at a swing trade, I think it can still give you about 7-8%. So I think we should look at Gale from the PSU side, even State Bank of India for that matter. This could test that 635, 645. It's been taking support about the 600, 605 level. So on dips till 605, we would say this is a good pick. I think results are anticipated, and what we've seen over the last 2 days, the PSU banks have been giving some stellar results. Private banks have also been showing that, but PSU being relatively cheaper, the moves could be sharper. We've seen 6, 6, 7, 7% moves in PNB and the other banks which have reported. So
Check
I
your
think this
WhatsApp,
could test
Manoj.
back to 630.
So, Anu, let's take this one by one. Coming back to Gas Authority, of course, the price ticket is amazing at 116 rupees. It presents a very, very juicy price point for small traders as well. And it's been a fantastic rally this July, up about 10% on the futures side. Very, very strong rollovers happening at about 76%. When you look at Gale's chart, where do you see in the medium term this stock headed? Of course, you compared it to NTPC, which also seen have fantastic rally in July. What do the medium term charts on Gale project as terms of a price?
So, Shail, NTPC is still on its own rally. I think you can see 220 and 240 also on NTPC. Okay. Gale in the moment, I think, as we said, 125 is midterm, I mean, a month or so. But if one is ready to hold this for a longer time, I think you can get an annualized return somewhere between 25-30%. So you can actually see somewhere between 140 to 150 when the market really gets wings. But as of now, I think I would probably peg it for 125 and revisit it at 125, whether the situation in the market seems to be steady, whether it can be held on, or should we book and come back again. But yeah, in the medium term, you could see closer to 140. Relatively speaking, I think the NTPC chart is stronger. So if I was just to compare, apples with bananas for that matter, I think that would still be my longer term hold, NTPC. This is a shorter period.
The interesting part, Anu, on Gas Authority is that market capitalization of 76,000 crore rupees and a trailing 12-month top line of about 1,45,000 crores. So that's, the undervaluation that the market somehow has failed to exploit it. But with you pointing it out, I'm sure that's at a picture which will improve dramatically. How about power producers? You mentioned NTPC, of course, but a lot of private power producers are also, jumping up and down on the charts. Anything that catches your fancy in that space?
So obviously there is CESC, which hasn't moved. Yesterday it moved quite a lot, but I think it's just broken out above the 76 levels. I think 84 to 90 levels is what we are expecting now. One of the fundamental reasons it hasn't moved up is because there's been no tariff hike which has happened in Calcutta side. Now, if a tariff hike is a one-off event and it's a 0-1 kind of a probability, so if it were to happen, it can jump up, but it's definitely undervalued compared to the others. Support for CESC is around 72. It's at about 76 levels. So risk reward is in your benefit because it's at 76. You hold it for about, if you can have the probability to move, hold it 3 to 5 months, you can actually see a return of 20-25%. So downside, you should cap it that in a bad market, if 72 gets hit, we should get out and wait again. But otherwise, I think you can look at about 84 to 90 levels.
And that's the reason why one must always speak to Anu over a period of 2 or 3 months once. She brings out these undervalued gems. Market capitalization of CESC, immensely profit-making company, remember, is 10,000 crore rupees. Last 12-month earnings have been 1,400 crore rupees. And I'll tell you the top line, 14,000 crores. So again, an undervalued asset which the market so far has failed to appreciate. In this kind of a roaring bull market, if you are getting a company, a profit-making company, which hasn't done much on the charts and is well below its top line in terms of market cap, those are undervalued assets. Let's get Vineet into this conversation. Vineet, your view on CESE in terms of financials?
So I think it's a very, very decently valued business. Uh, they're in one of the largest geographies. They've got backward integration into power generation. So I think this stock can do well. Apart from this, CESC is also looking to bid for other geographies where they can take part in the businesses where the ATRs are very high, and the license regime will hold good for this company.
Mm-hmm. The other interesting thing that Anu, I'm sure, has looked on the charts of CSC is that it's moved out a 3-week consolidative phase, and yesterday's volumes have been the highest since 2023 started. So a 7-month peak on volumes and a nice consolidative phase that's ended. Anu, you mentioned SBI as one of your top picks in the large blue cap space. Anything else that catches your fancy in the blue chip part?
So if you see, Shell, it's the bank nifty which has been consolidated. Even in the month of June, first it didn't move and then it gave a stellar move of 1,000 points. We are coming to a very similar point where you have HDFC, which seems to have kind of skidded to a stop. You have that, close to those levels where it's not moved beyond that 1730 for quite some time. It's hovering at 1690, 1700. You have ICICI, which is stuck between that 990 and 1000. You have SBI, as I discussed. These three can actually move the needle not just for Bank Nifty, but I think for the market as well. ICICI reported some stellar results, and if it, in the pre-open today, it's showing that it's up about 0.5%. Now it crosses the 1000, and today you are also on expiry day. So, there's going to be a lot of call writing around the 1000. So probably this is the day it can move towards the 1010. But overall, I think 1030 to 1050 in the next 3 months. And probably if you're looking at a 1 year view, I think this still has 20% or 25% it can give from here. Basis the results, basis the credit growth. I know everybody's talking about, NIMS kind of plateauing now and being peaked out here. But we forget that the credit growth is going to be pretty strong. So it's not the only thing. Apart from that, the kind of quality of growth which is coming, and I was very surprised with the ICICI results. I think it was the best results in this quarter. So whether it is ICICI and HDFC, there will be a lot of technical events with FTSE coming up for review in August, September. And I think MSCI will also take note in
I
November,
know the
December.
markets are trading. I'm sorry, I'll have to
Sure,
intrude here.
sure.
Let's
I
look at the
understand.
markets now. The first rates are in. It's a gap up for the Nifty. 55 points higher, 19,835. Bank Nifty 150 points higher, 46,220. So the upward rally has resumed. Let's look at stocks that are contributing to that uptick. Of course, Anu's favorite so far, ICICI Bank, reclaims the four-digit mark, up 6 rupees at 1002. Let's look at Axis Bank. It's reporting its earnings today. It's flat at 979. Reliance flat again 2530. What are the stocks that are contributing to this gain? Okay, Bajaj Finance 1.6% higher, 7550. Index heavyweight Infosys 1% higher, 1361. L&T, its upward journey resumes, 1% higher, 2670. ICICI, HDFC Bank and Axis Bank are in the green. So is State Bank of India. And that's the reason why you see a 154 point uptick on Nifty Bank, 46,205. Let's look at the stocks that our colleagues have mentioned. I want to see what BHEL is doing. BHEL at the moment should be, let's look at the FNO space, and let's look at prices on BHEL. BHEL is trading in three digits, 102 up 1%. So that's a great pick from Vineet, working out perfectly well. Apart from that, the top gainers in the FNO space are Cipla. Fantastic earnings, gap up 7% higher, 1141. We have a strong traction coming in on the entire pharma space. Granules up 1.5%, 312. Syngene up 1.3%, 772. Oro Pharma up 1.4%, 799. Apart from that, let's look at the broader markets. NSE 500, what are the main gainers? Nifty, meanwhile, is adding on to its gain, 65 points higher, 19,845. We have KPIL, fresh record high, 627. BSC ticking up 3% higher, 794. And of course, we have Castrol, 2% higher, 148. Coming back to you, Anu, what are the first two or three things that you've seen in the market which attract you towards the long side?
See, today is expiry day, and I think that is something we should keep into mind. If we are at the same levels at about 2 to 30, I think you're going to have a stellar close. We should basically keep in mind some of the things that I'm seeing is that Sun Pharma is moving out, supply is moving out. Obviously, that's a sector which has got wings, and that should do well. The other thing which I'm noticing is metals have moved up. So Hindalco at 454 is a definite breakout out there. And BPCL post results at 390. I think it's consolidated, taken the negative yesterday of people who had bet on it. So I think all of these things put together, if markets stay here at 230, I think I won't be surprised if there's a short squeeze towards the end. The caveat being that let's see where it is at 230. If it can maintain this for another 4 to 5 hours, as I said, banking also would kind of take it back there. So I was watching the 19, futures 830 to 850 is, which is my derivative analyst was telling me that is crucial. So you're right there at 19,850. Now, if we can hold 19,850 till about 230, definitely, the call writers would be at stress and there would be
Give
a
it a
move
section.
further, probably towards 19,900, 930.
Whole host of other stocks also moving in the broader
Sakshi, what
market
are you
space.
watching?
So basically, Godfrey Phillips has caught my eye. That's moving up very, very sharply in double digits. Electra Green, that's up in trade. Cipla, we mentioned, of course, 8.2%, very sharp move right there. Anu also mentioned that stock. Dr. Reddy's is inching higher as well. Another stock that's flashing up is Vesuvius. That's up at 20% upsurge in today's trading session as well. Anu, anything from these big movers in the opening trading session that you are looking at positively?
So pharma we're definitely looking at, and it's the whole pack. It's Cipla, it is Sun Pharma, it's even the domestic players which we have. So I think as an index, I think pharma has consolidated for a very, very long time, and you're seeing some big moves because they have kind of been stagnant for some time. I think my top pick would be Sun Pharma. I would probably look towards 1140 to 1160 out there, and I think we would stay most positive on that stock, both fundamentally and technically.
Sakshi, the market is running away. The Nifty at a fresh intraday high. We've taken out 19,850. That's now an 80-point uptick on the market. As far as the Nifty is concerned, Bank Nifty 181 points higher at 256. This is a good time to look at the broader markets as well. Pharma is ticking like crazy on the green side. It's the top gaining index, 1.5% higher, 14,700 there. Metals, Anu's already pointed out, 6650, up 0.5%. Financial services index up 0.5%. Nifty Bank ticking 0.4% higher. Let's look at the advanced decline now. 1055 in the broader market versus 875, and Nifty 500, 280 versus 218. So a fabulous start to what is already been a fantastic monthly expiry. Today is the last day, and Anu was saying that bears might be on the back foot. My personal feeling is that today they'll be killed, but let's see how this goes. Anu, your first thoughts on HDFC Bank? We've reclaimed 1700 here, and of course this is the highest weighted kid on both the Nifty and the Bank Nifty now.
Yes, so I mean, you can see it even as we are talking that at 1700 they're definitely sellers, and this is more a technical move than a fundamental move. So I feel that as it crosses 1700, then the move towards 1740 will be very fast. The next advance or the next resistance is at about 1740. Post that, I think 1780. I think if I were to extrapolate both fundamentals and technicals, I'm looking at least 1900 in the next 6 to 8 months. So I think it's a very good pick of about 15% from your 1 year. I think probably you can even touch 2000 rupees. So I think this is a great pick at this price, both fundamentally and technically. If one has the patience to hold on to a stock, I think this is going to be a very, very good pick.
Vineet, your take on the private banks and your thoughts here. What are you making of the earnings season so far? Financial names, because Kotak Mahindra Bank saw sell off despite a decent set. ICICI Bank did not get the reception that it wanted. Axis Bank, of course, GNPA is better, slightly worsening of the net NPAs right here. What's the pecking order you're looking at in terms of the private banking names now?
So I think for me it is HDFC Bank followed by Axis, followed by ICICI, and then Kotak. My rationale for the same is that HDFC Bank, uh, although the growth number has kind of tapered off because of the merger with HDFC Limited. But I think that it will do far better than the other banks because the rest of the pack is priced to perfection. If you see ICICI Bank trading at a premium, although the quality of earnings has improved sharply in ICICI Bank, I think that there's a lot of room left for HDFC Bank to move up because for the last 1 year it has just been consolidating on the back of the expectation of the merger happening. So there is a lot of catch up remaining. So HDFC Bank would be my top pick in the private sector banks.
Okay. Tech Mahindra, another stock that Vineet I wanted to discuss with you.
Let's
Of
look at the
course, we've
PS.
seen that slipping in the morning trading session. And of course, in the earnings, I do not remember the last time we saw a margin profile of sub 7% for the company. Thoughts here?
So, the one business which can get disrupted by AI is going to be the voice and the communication segment. So, I would not be very gung ho on this stock, and we will see that play out over the next few quarters coming through.
A very quick question to you, Vineet, on the railway space. What do you like there? We have rights and RVNL to declare their earnings, and there is an OFS announced on RVNL. Your top pick in the railway space?
I would go with BHEL. So, BHEL has got a substantial exposure to Vande Bharat. They do a lot of other kind of works. And that is one counter which has not been participate in the railway rally, probably because of the fact that people keep looking at it more of a conglomerate play on the industrials and the power business. But the railway vertical is galloping nicely. That will come into its own, uh, and the size of the railway program over the next decade is huge. So railway will definitely be a beneficiary of this.
Okay. Vineet,
So you
Godfrey
can't
Phillips.
separate
Yeah.
Vineet from BHEL, and that's what his pick is. Yeah,
Right.
Sakshi, go ahead.
So, Vineet, I wanted your attention on Godfrey Phillips. Fantastic earnings yesterday. We've seen a 68% surge in Q1 profit, and the stock is firing up. Your thoughts here?
So I believe that somewhere the smuggled cigarette trade is kind of getting compromised, and the market share of the organized sector is improving here. There's a lot of rationality on the pricing of the excise duties that are levied on cigarettes. So that annual gains that happen in the price upticks is benefiting all the cigarette companies and adding to their bottom lines, and that's how Godfrey and ITC are performing extremely well in the cigarette segment.
Okay, the first 10 minutes of trade is over. Now is the time to take a deep breath, maybe sit back a little and see that what we've gained. Coming to you, Anu, let's look at the pharma space. It's a blowout on Cipla, fantastic earnings. Open interest is already 5.3% higher, 7.4% uptick on the price. Would you like to put your comment on Cipla here? Is this time to buy, or would you sort of pause for a while?
See, you've seen a move yesterday and you've seen a move, today. So it's moved from about 1042. It's already at 1156. So you've seen a 10% plus move. I think for now, I think this trade is overdone. But for a longer period, for an investor, I think dips can be used to buy in. So I would probably, probably look at points that closer to about 1080. That's the point. If it does come in a correction, that would be a great point for an investor. But for a trader, I think probably today, if it goes down to about 1100, 1130, even there he can, so it's showing picks up to 1138 right now. So you can probably go down there and probably pick. I think you're poised towards level 60. So for a short-term trader, that should be the place where, it kind of saturates. So 1150, 1160 is very close to buying for that saturated trade, but on dips, yes, definitely.
Okay. Vineet, your thoughts on Vesuvius India after the Q1 results? The stock is up 20% after the net profit rose 77% today. Did you track this company?
So refractories are in a space of their own, and Vesuvius is one of the best plays in this segment. So deservedly, the stock is higher. I think it can continue to do well over the next few months.
Okay. Anu, your thoughts on the technical charts of Vesuvius?
Sorry, on Vesuvius,
Yes.
I do not follow that stock. I'm sorry, I won't
Okay.
be able to help you.
No worries. Which is the other space that you're watching out for in the market opening? What's looking good to you in terms of sectors and
So,
stocks?
the metal space is really, really exciting. And this is one place where there is very little build up and very little open interest. So, I think Hindalco moved out of that 448 zone yesterday, and I think it can attempt the 472. So, this is a stock I would really keep my eyes on because people have been fairly negative here. It's a possibility that this can touch the 472 to 477 zones. So this is one place with a stop loss of about 448 for people who are traders. They can look into.
All right, Shell, I think there's some audio issue. We'll try and fix that for you. Vineet, in the meanwhile, many thanks for being with us on the show and sharing all the insights on the markets and specific stocks that we've been discussing all through and through. Anu, let me come to you next. I wanted to ask you, since we were talking about GAIL, as one of your preferred picks, what are your thoughts on the likes of MGL, on IGL, and also on the other gas majors right here? Are they also looking good on the charts?
See, the fact is, more than chartically, the whole issue of there is very different of how much of the price rise they can pass on. So fundamentally, we do like Gujarat Gas and IGL and MGL, the pecking order being Gujarat Gas at the top. But these are stocks which haven't really done anything. And if you were to look at, I would pick probably Gujarat Gas as the top pick there. But for that, for technically, it has to actually trade over the 530, 520 zone before it becomes a buy. It
Hmm.
is for long-term holders, 460, it goes down to even 445, 450. That's a great point for investors to get in. Right now, there is nothing on the chart which is indicating that it can be a buy. For people who are holding it, I would say continue to hold. But I think only over 510, 520 will it become a technical pick. So I think that's still 7, 8% away from there. So this is nowhere on the chart. And I think that basically goes for IGL, MGL, good results, bad results. They've been consolidating here for more than a year. So there is no action. Fundamentally, I definitely would prefer this.
Okay. Anu, great pick as far as the metals pack is concerned. The Nifty metals are up about 1% or so, one of the top sectoral gainers in today's trade. Hindalco, Tata Steel, JSW Steel, all of them up in terms of the Nifty gainers in trade today. Which is the best pick in terms of the metals pack in today's trading session?
So I would definitely take, both Tata Steel and Hindalco. Tata Steel, the results were out, so people who were positioned for it are already out of it. It's crossed that crucial 117, 118 resistance. It's holding 120. So I think if you were to look at a stop loss, you have a very clear stop loss of 117. I think it can move first to 123, 124, which it's tried to touch today, and then 128. So I think Tata Steel in steel and probably Hindalco, as I've already mentioned the levels for Hindalco closer to the 470 levels.
Okay, now it's 9:32, which means the first 15 minutes of the trade have passed. Very good time to step back a bit and see what the market has gifted us. As far as the Nifty is concerned, we are well above R1, so we've opened gap up 70 points, and the index is building onto those gains. The advanced decline on the Nifty is 4:1. That means that 40 stocks are up out of 50 and 10 are in the green, 10 are in the red. Pharma is outperforming, very, very strong traction on frontline banks. Metals, as Anu's really picked it up at 914, doing fantastically well. And everything is a nice shade of green on the last day of the monthly expiry. We've also taken out R1 as far as the Nifty is concerned. Bank Nifty flying high, 190 points higher, 46 to 52 is what I see on the screen. And the top contributor so far on the index, which is the Nifty, is of course Infosys and HDFC Bank, 16 and 12 points respectively. Anu, coming back to the pharma space, a very strong earnings show by Cipla, and that's fired up the entire sector. We've seen Aurobindo Pharma as one of the highest beta counters here. Would you want to stick your neck out and comment on Oro?
So Aurobindo has been one of those most volatile stocks that we have seen, and it's already moved up quite a lot. So at about this 802, I think personally it can move up and it can do better, but I would definitely pick up a Sun Pharma or stick to other names from it. This would not be my pick for the season.
So let's talk about Sun Pharma. Where do you think that's headed?
So as I was talking, Sun Pharma fundamentally at 1120 odd where it is right now. I think you can probably move to about 1160 in about 3 to 4 months. There are people who have got into it at 800 last year, even below that. So for them, they're sitting on very good results and good returns on the counter. But the fact remains that it's crossed this level after a very, very long time. So it should consolidate the 1100 levels. If it manages this for about 2 to 3 days, a move towards 1160 is definitely on the cards.
Okay. Anu, you were talking about SBI as one of your topics. What about PNB? We've seen contrasting brokerage reports on PNB after the earnings. Morgan Stanley giving a 55 target, whereas JP Morgan giving a 72 target. How are you looking at PNB as a counter? It's given a fantastic run up as well in the recent past.
So I have a different strategy for this. We basically, when we cannot play these individual banks, and quarter to quarter, you will have probably one bank giving good results, the other one not giving so good results. So we basically tell clients out there to pick up the PSU Bank ETF. Now that is trading around the 50-51 zone right now. It had gone right down to 40 rupees about a month and a half, 2 months, just before the rally began. So the ETF is a much better place to play that out because you get a composite return with SBI being obviously the biggest weight, followed by BOB. And those are the two banks we are really positive on, and the smaller banks give you the beta out there. So I think that as a composite trade, and that's just 51 rupees for one. 50-51 rupees. So as I said, I mean, though it's not really a trader's basket because getting in, getting out may not be as cheap as getting out of a stock, but I think that is a better way if you're an investor to get into the counter there. I think that can give you from the 50-51 levels about 62-63, which is where PNB is trading right now. So that can give you a 20% return even now. So I'm not talking about a month or so, but over a 6 to 8 month period, that can give you 60 to 63.
That's a wonderful strategy. Just buy the CPSE PSU banking ETF and lay to rest all the fears that you have in your mind in terms of volatility of individual stock prices. Wonderful pick, Anu. Let's now turn our focus away to two sectors which have attracted both trader and investor interest. Defense for you, Anu. Mind-boggling returns over the last year-to-date basis, somewhere like 50-55% overall appreciation in stock prices. I look at Masstock, Cochin Shipyard, Zen Technologies, and of course Hindustan Aeronautics. What is your fundamental view on the defense space? What do you think is clicking so well for this sector, which was down in the dumps for decades?
Well, the fact of the matter is, if you look at it, the entire PSU basket is doing well. So HAL for that matter, and the others are obviously not from the PSU side, but the kind of deals we've signed in the US, I mean, I don't need to specify the deals, but the French deals that we've signed, and the overall gist is very clear that we are going to be much more self-reliant in defense than we've ever been before. The whole made in India concept kind of also correlates with this. Now, we've seen moves come up very sharp in some of these, but BEL is one place where I see that 126, 127 is being attempted. So I think the next probable stock which can technically move out is if BEL moves out of that 128, 128 half zone. That's it's trading at resistance. While the others have all made their big moves, this is yet to make the big move. If you look relatively outperformance, I think this has done in a year about 20 odd percent relative to others doing 50, 100%. So I think one should watch out for this stock. It's still not given the breakouts. I'm not saying it's a buy here, but probably this is one place I would keep my eyes open for. If it moves out of the 128 with a good volume, that's one stock I would keep my eyes open.
And of course, at 128, 130 levels, BEL is already at a record high. Remember, this is a split value that you were seeing about 6-8 months ago. The company had announced a split, but seeing the relative price explosion that you've seen on shipbuilders, yes, BEL has underperformed. Structurally and strategically, Anu, would IIFL Wealth's customers have a higher than overweight exposure to defense, or you think this is done?
So, as such, we are not overweight on defense. We are, if I had to take a sector pick, I think our top pick is still banking. We continue to hold banking as our top pick. Second is manufacturing and infra. So, our overweight positions are there. We whatever part of manufacturing comes into defense, that comes as part of our infra and manufacturing. But we are not picking up defense as a sector and saying, let's go overweight on it. We've had clients who held HAL from a very long time, and they've held on, continued to hold on to it, but not that we are making people buy defense right now.
Okay, so that's what we've done on the defense space. Another sector which has captured the imagination of traders and investors alike is the real estate, is the railway space. Anu, how are you tracking it? A very, very strong budget-related push coming on the overall sector. What are the 2 or 3 top picks that you would have which are exploding on the charts in the railway space?
So in fact, Shell, we put out a reduce on IRCTC. So that's our research report, and we basically use fundamental and technicals to build our client portfolios. And given that the house view has come to a place where we say that there is saturation, we have stepped back from those positions. We have booked profits and we have moved out from it. We are looking more on the PSU side, either playing again, as I said, we playing the CPSC ETF again on the PSU enterprise also for clients, so that that works better for them. Otherwise, we are basically looking at stocks like BEL and others to look into play individually, but not really anything specific which is coming up on that side.
Right. Anu, apart from the defense and the railways, of course, we're talking about pharma and healthcare, and that's the space buzzing, Nifty Healthcare as the top sectoral index today. Cipla, we've talked, apart from this, Sun Pharma, you've already discussed. But in the mid-cap space, you're looking at Oro Pharma, Syngene, Zydus Life Sciences, Gland Pharma. These stocks also moving up higher in trade. Your thoughts here?
Gland and the others which went down so poorly last time, I think if I were to pick out from that basket, I would probably look at Divis. So Divis moved out of, it's not a mid cap, but 3600, 3700, even that is quoting about 2% higher right now.
Yeah.
If I had to take a quality pick from all of them, probably I would stick my neck out for Divis. Yes, the results have been horrible in the last 2 or 3 quarters, but if I had to give the benefit of doubt, I'd probably, I'm sorry to say it, I wouldn't give it to those stocks. I would probably give it to Divis. That can probably, if has 1 or 2 good quarters, you can see it back at 4200.
Okay. All right. Apart from this, Anu, do you track Wari at all? The solar panels maker. We are going to be joined very, very soon with the management of the company as well. The kind of results that we've seen and the kind of substantial outperformance that we've seen in terms of stock price over the last 3 odd years as well. What used to be a 8 rupee, 10 rupee stock is now 3-digit, 4-digit. Your thoughts here?
Apologies, we basically have all technical coverage on the top 200,
Okay.
300 stocks, but nothing on beyond that.
Okay, Anu, a couple of questions and then sadly we'll have to bid you goodbye. It's such a pleasure listening to your thoughts on the charts as well as fundamentally. But two or three stocks that I need to discuss, and this is in the NBFC space. Breakouts happening on Power Finance and RECL. These are low ticket items doing fantastically on the fundamental side of their business as well. Would you be tracking them? PFC and
Yes.
REC.
So technically, I am doing that. I think PFC chart is slightly better than RC. I think also the fact that there will be some kind of MSCI weightage coming into these would be probably good plays for them. So I think anybody who's holding them, because these have moved up substantially. So we made clients buy them about 30%, 25% lower. We're just taking a trailing stop loss. I think there is a possibility of REC probably moving, by the time the listing happens. And as you and I were discussing, that power stocks as it is are looking good. And given that these have been in the rut not just for 1 or 2 years, but actually for almost 10 years now, I think in a bull market which persists, you can see definitely another 10%. But given that these are highly volatile, I would say keep a trailing stop loss, which is about 3% to 3.5%. Keep trailing the stop loss and holding your position. You may as well see another 10% probably on both of these stocks towards the time that PFC gets the MSCI weightage. But yes, I mean, point to buy, this is a high risk, high returns, kind of a strategy. So one has to be keeping that into their mind before they.
And the final question, Anu, mid-cap software, especially KPIT post its earnings. I'm sure it's on your radar. What do you think?
So, not just KPIT, it is Coforge also reported brilliant results given the whole situation. So, at about 1017 KPIT at the current prices for Coforge, uh, I found probably persistent results not so strong as they were expected, but I think the three should be made as a basket. Sometimes you have to create your own ETF. So I would say create a basket of these three, Coforge, Persistent, and KPIT. I think you won't go wrong. And this sector hasn't bottomed out, according to me. So you'll probably see another 6 months of these moves high and low. So while Infosys and TCS may move 5 to 6%, these are moving 10 to 12% up and down. So when the moves come, you should make it like an SIP every time it kind of falls down. It's a good point to get into it. So I would make these three as my top picks, and I think the whole market is tracking them. It's not just us which is tracking these three stocks, out of which KPIT is into a particular, very niche area. So we can look at this and probably hold on to all these three over a period of 2 to 3 years for very good returns.
Okay, well, fantastic picks right there. Thanks a lot, Anu. Pleasure having you with us on Business Today
My
TV,
pleasure.
and hope for many more interactions going forward as well. And we'll continue to track all the stocks that you've been talking about on an everyday basis too, so that we can revisit them when you come back next. Now, our focus shifts to the corporate radar, and the company on our focus list today is Vari Renewable Technologies. The company has come out with the earnings, and joining us now is Hitesh Mehta, Finance Director of the company. Very good morning to you, sir. Now, the company is engaged in the business of renewable energy solutions with a specific focus on solar power. And what we have seen is that the company has posted an 11.8% rise in the consolidated net profit at 11 odd crore rupees versus 9.9 crore rupees on a year-on-year basis. The EBITDA stands at 16.17 crore rupees in June 2023, up 22% from the June quarter of 2022 as well. Mr. Mehta, the first question your way that I wanted to discuss with you is, on the margins especially. We've seen the EBITDA has improved, but the margins have shown a dip. If you could share why and what is the outlook on the margin front clearly?
So good morning and thank you for having me on your show. So it's an exciting time for the industry as well as for the company also. There is a lot of push from the government on the renewable side. Government has set the target of 500 gigawatt by 2030, and of this around 350 plus will be from the solar. So we see a huge opportunity in the coming days. Coming to your questions on the margin side, though the margin on the quarter one is slightly less compared to the previous on the percentage side, but overall we have made a good margin in terms of the percentage. So if you compare with the percentage, it is 22% on the EBITDA level, more than the previous quarter in the last year.
Mr. Mehta, what do you think is driving sales? We've seen a fairly strong uptick in your quarterly revenue. What are the major sectors where demand is coming on, or is retail also tagging onto your products? We've seen a very, very sharp rally that has happened on the stock price. How do you justify that? And where do you think are the best demand sectors that are likely to come in over the next 2 or 3 quarters?
So I think this is the cheapest means of the electricity which is available now, where more and more people are now going for the solar on the rooftop, on the commercial and the industrial sections. And each and every country and many companies have set the target for the net zero and the um, carbon footprint for the net zero also. So with this, there will be a more and more opportunity for the industry as well as for the company in the coming days. So we feel that in the coming days, there will be more and more opportunity available for the company on the renewable side. And we feel there will be a better margins and the revenue growth also.
Mr. Mehta, I wanted to discuss with you on your order book. What is the status of your current order book? How is it split between both the private and the government orders right now? And what is the bidding pipeline for new projects looking like?
So we have an order book of around 855 megawatt. Uh, and we intend to finish this probably in next 9 to 12 months period. And the pipeline is approximately around 3 gigawatt.
Okay, and could you give that split between the private and government orders right now? And what is the outlook? Where are you going to get more orders from?
So probably 90% of the orders is from the private sectors and around 8 to 10% is from the governments. And we intend to do more on the private side.
Mr. Mehta, let's look at the way forward. What are the projections that you have in terms of capacity expansion? What is it now? And what is the capacity utilization that you have so far? How much money are you likely to spend into newer and larger factories over the next 12 to 18 months to 2 years?
So basically, as you know, we are into the EPC business, so not much of the requirement on the fund size as far as the capacity goes, we have enough capacity available to go for 3 to 5 gigawatt of order book also. Sure.
Mr. Mehta, I wanted to discuss with you what kind of opportunities now exist for you amid the government's push for renewable energy. The government has set a target of 500 gigawatts for renewable energy. So, of this, what are the kind of opportunities that you will be looking to grab?
So you rightly said that the government has set the target of the 500 gigawatt for the renewable energy, and of this, probably around 350 plus gigawatt will be only from the solar side. So there will be a great opportunity added to this. As I told you, that every country and every company is now looking for the net zero carbon footprint. So that is also added to a great opportunity for the sectors. Plus, the company is also looking for entering into the hydrogen. So this will be the added advantage going forward for growing the revenue of the company.
Mr. Mehta, looking at your stock price, it's fairly obvious that you're looking at a QIP somewhere in the not too distant future. What are the fundraising plans that you have given the expansion in your pipeline?
So as far as the company which we are talking about in this, we don't have any plan in the near future for the raising of the capital.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Mehta, any acquisitions, mergers on the radar for you?
Sorry.
Any acquisitions and mergers on the radar for you? Are you looking for any inorganic growth opportunities?
So not at present, nothing on the table at present, but as and when if something comes in, definitely we are open to look at the opportunity.
Okay, Mr. Mehta, thank you very much for your wonderful time that you spent with us. Look at the Vari stock. It's been a huge multi-bagger for all those people who've been lucky enough to buy it. Vari Renewable Technologies
Technology.
was somewhere like 20 rupees in the beginning of 2021, and it's now at a fresh record high, 1404 after the stunning numbers that we've seen. Sakshi, let's get back to the markets. Nifty has sort of retested its first resistance, 19,833. We've seen an intraday high of 19,865, and at the moment the first test of the R1 is taking place, and should that be successful, then obviously we'll see a better picture emerging. Stocks that are helping the Nifty on its way up are, of course, HDFC Bank, 11 points contributing to the gain. Let me just also tell you what the prices are on HDFC Bank. These are, of course, the heaviest weighted counters that we look at. 1696 up $4. Infosys contributing 12 points to the Nifty, and at the moment trading 0.7% higher, 1359. Cipla blowout contributing 10 points to Nifty's overall rally, and is of course the top gaining counter on the F&O space, up 8.5%. Very strong volumes coming in on Cipla post that earnings, and it's also fired up the entire pharma pack. Syngene is the top gainer again, 6.5% higher. Oro Pharma, Glenmark, Granules, Lupin, all of these F&O counters in the top gaining counter space as far as the F&O things are concerned. And in the cash markets, let's look at stocks which are at record highs. At the moment, I see Colgate Palmolive shining bright, fantastic earnings. It's 6% higher, crossed the 2,000 rupee mark, again at record highs. RECL, PFC, on which Anu commented, Jindal Stainless 385, 2.4% higher. IDFC, and of course the industrial and infrastructure favorite and index heavyweight Larsen and Toubro, 2662, fantastic earnings. That's up 0.5%. Sakshi.
Absolutely, Shail. In that same breath, let's also mention the other finance majors: Bajaj Finance, Bajaj Finserv, both up in trade. Chola Finance as well. We're looking at SBI cards, HDFC Life, SBI Life, both the life insurance majors also moving up in trade as well. Apart from this, we're also looking at some of the other sectors that are gaining strength. Apart from the financials and the pharma healthcare counters, it's the metals pack that's really shining bright from the last two odd trading sessions. So Hindustan Copper, Nalco, SAIL, Tata Steel, Jindal Steel, APL Apollo, all of them very sharp move coming in, over 1% each for all of these counters as well. In the small cap 100 basket, you have RBL Bank, Granules, fertilizer and chemicals. You're also seeing Glenmark Pharma, Jindal Steel, Manappuram Finance, all of them, very sharp move coming in on these counters as well. So quickly, let's look at Shell. Anything from the large cap basket that you spot? Reliance Industries, if you could spot, ahead of, after that news flow, what is that doing?
Sakshi, I'm just concentrating on the mid-cap space. RBL Bank taking it away. It's already the top performer on the entire banking space, up 5% today. It's 183 rupees that I see in terms of price, and I'm so sorry, 250 rupees on the price, and lots of block deals happening in front of me on the software that I track. So this is something that needs to be looked at. There is some buzz in the market about a corporate transaction that's happened. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to confirm it, but the fact remains that this is the top draw when it comes to the F&O space. RECL, these are low ticket, high beta, fantastically performing PSU companies doing very well. PFC up 3.6%. So, and of course BHEL and PNB, these are the ones that are buzzing, and they are the ones that are attracting my attention. Sakshi.
Absolutely. One more stock before we wrap up. Kalpataru Projects International, that's one order is worth about 2,261 crores. And you've seen the stock moving up higher by 4% in trade as well. All right. And with that, many thanks for joining us on this special edition. Thank you, Shail, for sharing with us all those movers and shakers like always. And to all the viewers, we will continue to track all the momentum in markets for you throughout the trading session. So stay with us on Business Today TV. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and also continue to engage with us on our other social media platforms as well. That's Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn and Instagram. Until then, many thanks for tuning in.